Good evening, welcome. So Rude has gone. Last Monday we were here saying, what's going on with Rude? Well, he's gone. We all know that. He's gone. So it's which manager do you want to pick now? So that's the subject of tonight's game. Let us, as fans, pick the next manager of Leicester City. There's a few to choose from. There's the top 10. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so picking whether should it be Sean Dyche, Danny Rowell, Michael Carrick, Lee Carsley. You name them. We want your views, your comments. So help us pick that in tonight's show live.
Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors: Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Yes, evening. Could it be announced tomorrow? Do you think Leicester City have done the sensible thing and sacked Rude on Friday by mutual agreement? Let's not say sack, mutual agreement, giving him some money and he's gone. Do you think they've got the next manager lined up? You would like to think that would be good business, but let us know in the views and comments if you think that is what's happened. And of course, let us know who you are backing. Now, I've sent the link out there and we can get as many people coming on as possible. JT gets the first comment in, says, I'm Dyche. Literally Dyche, or you want Dyche? Clibbo, good evening. Come on, Clibbo, tell us who you want. I've shared the link now. Hope you're well. Tony Smith says, see the state of that pitch yesterday. A disgrace, another backward step. Yeah, a lot of people were, I didn't watch it, but I know the women's England match at the King apparently was a real mess on the pitch. But I don't know. Did you see that and what did you think to it? Let us know your views and comments. Andy says, good evening. Steve Robinson says, Lee Carsley for me. He's a winner and we've got some youngsters. He is, we'll put it on screen where Lee Carsley is in the bookies betting. He's third favourite at the moment. So we've got Sean Dyche at 1-1, Danny Rowell at 5-4, Lee Carsley at 5-1. Michael Carrick at 15-2, Gary O'Neill at 14-1, and then it slips down. Liam Rossignol at 14-1, and so on. Which ones of those do you fancy and why? That's going to be part of the big questions in there. Ian says, let's get Ian's up. He says, the Sean Dyche for sure. Andy Meadows says Lee Carsley just signed a new contract with England. Yeah, he's true there. Gary, Craig says get Roll in. Mark says won't be Dyche because he doesn't play the style of football the board want. Mirko, it's been a while, Mirko. Hope you're well over there in Holland. Been a while since we've seen you. Who would you want next as your Leicester City manager? Harry says Dyche, I would take. Tony Smith says Sean Dyche, the only bloke to sort this crap out, won't let Lee Carsley. He's just signed a new contract. Well, he is there in the bookies, so the bookies still have him there as a armchair jockey. Says Carsley was double figures in the betting yesterday. Well, these figures were pulled from this afternoon, so he's come back in if that is what it is. Patrick, hope you're well, Patrick, says he would have Danny Rowell in there. Now, don't forget, I'm going to share the link again. If you keep commenting your views, keep letting us know who you want. I'm going to add in Jamie Reid and Nick, who've clicked in. Good evening, both of you.
Hello, Phil.
Good evening. We've got, I think there's probably two front runners to discuss, which is Sean Dyche and Danny Rowell. We'll come on to those two in a minute. Let's start with you, Nick. Are we ruling out Lee Carsley, Michael Carrick, Gary O'Neill? Do we think they're not in the running?
I don't know, mate. It won't be put it past King Power to pull somebody completely out of the hat. And I mean, let's not forget, 10 years ago today, we sacked Pearson and then we brought in Ranieri, and nobody saw Ranieri coming, did they? So it's not like they've not got a history of pulling someone from out of nowhere. So we don't know. But I do think it will be either Dyche or Roll myself.
Okay. Robert says here, we need to stop leaking goals, and the only man who can stop it is Sean Dyche. Admittedly, it won't be pretty football, but he would grind out results. I think, Robert, listen, it's going to be a completely different kettle of fish in the Championship with the squad that we've currently got in there. Clibo says it's Danny for me, understands the league, good coach with adaptable systems in there. Tony Smith says only club out of 92 clubs without a manager. Before we get on to too much about managers, Reedy, you and me touched on this earlier. We have already wasted 1 day of training today by not having a manager in position. And that, for me, from a business, is a bad, that's 1 day lost. I think we've got a first pre-season friendly on Saturday against Peterborough, which seems incredibly early to get a match in. I'm sure it's just a training exercise. But really, we've already lost 1 day. You could argue we've lost a few weeks. Maybe they've got somebody lined up. But if they let Rude go on Friday and they've got somebody lined up, why didn't he walk into training today with the rest of the lads?
Well, we could have. Like I say, we don't know. Again, I think Andy King, from what we saw in the videos today, that he was in charge of the training today. But I don't know. There might be something in the running. Again, if it is Danny Roll, he needs to leave Sheffield Wednesday first before we can announce it. Or
Well, I believe Danny Roll didn't turn up for Sheffield Wednesday's pre-season.
okay.
Did you hear?
I didn't hear that, but because there's still a mutual agreement to try and end the contract and whatnot. We can't do anything until he's officially been announced as not their manager anymore. So again,
Well, it'd have to be bought out of his contract, wouldn't he? And they're talking about it'd be 3 to 5 million.
I think
It's gone down from what I've heard. It's closer to a million.
I think it's
now.
either gone down because now they're actually counted as a Championship club again because of the new year and whatnot coming into next tomorrow. But as well, I think Sheffield Wednesday and himself is trying to get out of this contract either way. So it might be a free for us if we do go for him. But again, you're right. We needed to get a manager in as soon as possible. I think I mentioned it earlier that Enzo came in 15 days ago, a couple of years ago when he came in. So it's just now, like I say, start training. Pre-season starts officially when the first game on Saturday comes in. So we are very late to the party because now, like I say, Southampton's had a manager in for a month now or so. So
Nick, Danny Roll, again, I'm just checking my notes here. He's quite well known for having a progressive passing football skill, but he was also, I think he was assistant manager at Bayern Munich, did a bit with the national club as well, with the national team. But somebody's put in here, and I want to get it up here. Michael E says, what has Danny Roll ever done?
Well, he took over Wednesday when they were sort of doom and gloomed and led them to safety. And it'd be kind of really, as much as I'm not too sure, because I even put in when we were talking earlier on this morning, I'm still leaning towards Dyche because I don't like Pep Guardiola football. But if he can work under those conditions he's had to work under, like Wednesday, which, let's be fair, they're even a bigger mess than we are. They've got a free transfer window embargo where they can't bring in anybody or sell anybody. Let's be fair, managing Leicester City should be a piece of cake for him. I mean, regarding Wednesday, they've not been played again for the second month in a row where they can actually go on strike, the players and the coaching staff and all that lot. If they're not paid, and some of them can actually just walk away. There's a loophole where they can walk away because obviously they're not being paid the wages. Whether that affects Danny Roll, I don't know, but
Nick Ball's backing what you're saying up there, saying Roll has negotiated the compensation down. Sheffield Wednesday would be due now and stands at just 1 million, not something they can turn down, having not paid the wages for a second season. Tony reporting wages not paid again today, and therefore everyone a free agent from July the 1st. Reedy, talk me through, Reedy, why, because I know you are an advocate of Danny Roll. Talk me through why you think he's the right guy.
I just think because of how his past in what he's done in a way of being assistant managers of top managers who have won Champions Leagues and all that stuff, and league titles and stuff like that. I get the point of he's not done anything himself career-wise, but the pathway from like Enzo or Arteta or stuff like that, they've been learning from the best. And yes, I might be an advocate of the passing style of play, but for me, in the Championship through the last couple of years, we've seen that the most successful way of getting out of the Championship over the last couple of years has been the more of the passing possession-based football. And the only reason I don't really want Dyche mainly is the players that he could bring in, I think, are going to be more experienced and maybe not as high quality as we probably want. And as well, his style of play, I don't think could get us up as more successful as what Danny Roll would. But again, I did see another name in there which I didn't notice before, which is going to be very impossible to get either way. But I'm surprised it's even in the list, and that is Terzic, who was at Dortmund, who was in the Champions League final with them. They lost, and he got sacked. So he would probably never come to us. But Eden Terzic at 16-1 or 18-1, sorry, I would take it, but it's never going to happen.
No, I know. I think some of these, I mean, the bookies don't always get it right, as Nick says. Sometimes some of these managers come in a bit left field.
I'm surprised Martin O'Neill and Nigel Pearson's ain't in the bookies.
Well, they probably are in there.
They normally put them on.
Yeah. Nick says in here, I'd have took a Sean Roll, the combo of tactical football with a kick in the ass. I do agree with. Well, I mean, Nick is having a joke there, but Nick, it feels like there's going to be compromises with whatever manager you go with, because I know, Nick, that there's some people who definitely want Sean Dyche in. There's some people who definitely want Danny Roll in, and it kind of feels like there's also people who want Danny Roll in but definitely don't want Sean Dyche in, and some people who want Sean Dyche in and definitely don't Danny Roll. They're a bit divisive on which style of football, which is why I'm going to chuck another name in, which I think the fans need to all come together and back one manager and go, yeah, do you know what? Gary O'Neill can do a job, and he's in the middle. He does know how to play enough passing football. He's got enough skill. He's got enough background. I can see he's got experience, because that's what people say about Danny Roll. He's what's he ever done? But Gary O'Neill has done a few bits and bobs.
I won't be against Gary O'Neill. To be perfectly honest, I think he did a fantastic job at Bournemouth and Wolves, respectively, especially Wolves, because they were a bit of a mess, weren't they, at the time? And he steadied them up and did all right. I've always liked Gary O'Neill.
I mean, Nick, it felt to bits for Gary O'Neill at about the same time as a little bit after Steve Cooper, as we know, before they got in their new manager. But he was cursed a little bit with a very tough start, and also he had 3 or 4 big players' injuries at the time. And when they all came back after he'd gone, it sort of all came together for the new boss.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I think O'Neill wouldn't be. I certainly wouldn't be against O'Neill. I do, like I say, I don't mind him. He'd be all right. If we've got to have somebody like that, I would probably lean towards more O'Neill than Dyche. But again, it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, how long has it been since Dyche has managed in the Championship?
A
while ago. So
that's been a while
he has
ago.
got a history of getting teams up.
But it has been a while since he's been managing in the Championship, Nick. But the counter argument to that is because he has been managing in the Premier League.
True, but I mean, me and Reedy were talking earlier on, and I'm sorry for throwing you under the bus here, Reedy, but he said he'd take Roll for this season, and if we get up, and then go for Dyche next season in the Premier League to solidify. Well, if you're going to do something like that, personally, you may as well just get Dyche in now so we can build a team that can get us up, and then he can continue to work to keep us up the following season. Do you know what I mean? Because it would probably cost us bloody more to sack Roll next season anyway, knowing this Rudkin and his contracts. Knowing Rudkin, he'd probably put a 20 million release clause in it. So, I don't know, anything's possible, but...
Reedy, what do you think about Gary O'Neill?
Like Nick said, I said before that because all these managers are so different in the different aspects of the way they play. Like I say, Dyche is nowhere near the same as Danny Roll. And like you said, Gary O'Neill probably is a bit in between, which I would probably take out over Sean Dyche. But again, when was the last time he was in the Championship? I look at that and think, like Sean Dyche, it was 10 years ago. Has he still got the
I don't think it
minerals
was.
to-
I think Gary O'Neill, when he took Bournemouth up, I'm guessing, Reed, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, wasn't it?
Okay.
So somebody whoever's watching this can tell us.
Yeah, I
They
don't
can
know.
Google fact it and let us know when Gary O'Neill last managed in the Championship and he took Bournemouth up. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, really. But carry on.
Yeah, I just think there's so many different managers. Like I say, if you want a certain style of playing, like I say, if I think, for instance, Top wants possession base, I think Rudkin wants more of the not defensive, but more balls to the walls in a way, and just making sure you get the strength in there and whatnot. I don't know, but again, normally you have a range of a list of managers who have the same sort of attributes, but this time it's not, because we're getting basically, we said earlier, we're getting left with the leftovers of managers who have been sacked or who haven't got another job somewhere else. So it's just a pick of the bunch who I don't think anyone is perfect for the job. I don't think there is.
Yeah, it's interesting because Tony says here, Nick, and I know this is the way the world goes at the moment. Tony Smith says if we get Danny Roll in and he gets us up, he probably goes the same way as Enzo.
Mhm.
Somebody in the Premier League probably goes, well, we've just sacked. Fulham's just sacked somebody. Somebody's just sacked somebody, and they'll probably.
But would
try
that
and
maybe
tempt him away.
be? But would that maybe be better for us now?
Well, it depends what manager you put in place, but
That's what I'm saying.
we're three ifs and buts away, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I get that. I'm just saying. The last time we thought the Enzo thing was bad because we wanted to. Well, I wanted him to stay. I don't know if anyone else did, but like I said, bringing in a Sean Dyche after that, like Nick said, if we had a Danny Roll for this season to get us up, and then have someone who can keep a team up in the Premier League, might help us. But again, there's no here. Maybe if you get Danny Roll this season, you're probably gonna have him for next season, and probably will do the same as what we did this season. And then Sean Dyche can even get us up. That's the situation we're in.
Ellis says it was 4 years ago, really. Gary O'Neill, 4 years when he was last in the Championship and he got Bournemouth promoted, which again, for me, this is what I say about managers is, and Danny Roll, yes, he might have some assistant manager stuff, but if you ask me Gary O'Neill or Danny Roll, I'm going to go with Gary O'Neill because he's already proven that he knows how to take a team up, and he took a team up and kept them up. So for me, that's a better CV than Danny Roll.
I think also O'Neill will probably tend to play to our strengths as well, or on the players' strengths. You know, we still have a bit of pace in that squad so far, and I think he'll utilize that pace that we have. He probably would play, you know, the likes of Monga and Evans, Will Alves, Ben Nelson. You know, the core youth players that we've been, praying to play for us for a while now. Dyche, I don't think he would utilise the youth. As Reedy said before, he likes an OAP, does Dyche, the experience side of things. So, again, I wouldn't be opposed to O'Neill. Certainly not. I think he'd do a good job. And last O'Neill we had was decent as well. So
yeah, Michael Lee says, I do think Dyche is close to perfect for the job. I just want to tell you, we ran a poll on Twitter. I set it off about 5 o'clock, so it's only been going for 2 hours. But at the moment, Sean Dyche has got 31% of fans' votes. Danny Roll has got 50%. Lee Carsley's got 17%, and Michael Carrick has got 2%. Michael Carrick not really getting anything from the fans' views in there. James says we need to get a manager in this week. That I kind of agree with. I think for me, we should have sacked Rude before we were relegated. I said that. We certainly should have sacked him when we were relegated. We certainly should have sacked him after the season was finished. We've left it till now. I hope to goodness we've spent the last 8 weeks on the quiet, tapping up the next manager and going, right, mate. But that's why I don't understand, Nick, why nobody was at training.
We probably didn't do anything until Friday.
Phil, you know as well as I do, they've looked at it probably the first morning. This morning is probably when they've looked at it. The players have turned back up, and that's when they've thought, right, we've got rid of Rude. Right, who can we get now? Because any money, Top's been dealing with the King Power situation, straight playing polo. Rudkin's been sunning himself on the beach, behind a bar on Top's tab. And Whelan's probably just not doing anything. So it wouldn't surprise me.
But I mean, Reedy, we've all worked places. We've all been to school. If you're at school and the teacher doesn't show up for a lesson, it's different, isn't it? I know Andy King was there today. I'm sure they trained hard. I saw them doing a bleep test, which in this heat must have been absolutely god awful. I did mention that we should get Reedy doing a bleep test. Actually, I'd like to see him have a go live.
I fail after the first thing.
But Reedy, James says we need to get a manager in. You kind of think it's pre-season. I know it's a warm-up match, bit of friendly against Peterborough at the training ground on Saturday, but come on, Leicester. Are you surprised?
I'm hell. I'm not surprised at all. Again, it's Leicester City. We probably weren't looking at anyone until the day of Ruud sacking, or even today after the weekend. We're coming back from holidays, like Nick said. But I don't know. I'm not convinced. Like we were thinking that Ruud was going to get sacked on July 1st for his birthday. That's tomorrow. Will we get a birthday post out for Ruud? I don't know. But
I would doubt it.
Well, it's Leicester City, isn't it?
I won't put it past them.
Happy birthday to our ex-manager. But yeah, I'd hope that we can get someone in this week. I don't think it's ever going to happen because again, when you hear any manager getting close to completing a deal, you hear something from a journalist saying, "Oh, they're in talks, or he's going to sign a contract or something." But we've not even heard anything like that. So I don't think it's any time soon we're going to get anyone, and that is a joke because again, pre-season starting.
I mean, Jamie, I'm going to keep with you on this. I mean, Ellis is ready to release a home shirt this week, but really, you buy every single Leicester City shirt, training kit, whatever it is, you buy it. Honestly, you spend all your money on it because you love it, which is fair enough. But you spotted training today. Did you say there were new training tops today?
From what I've seen, yes, they were like blue and gold. Again, I can't remember what sponsors on it or whatnot, but. Again, it's just like the home kits and away kits. Like a lot of the championship clubs have probably released them already. We're just so behind the curve on
training kit. When they do the training kit, Reedy, they normally go, "Oh, come, here's the new training kit, and we're going to train in it and come buy it," don't they?
From the last couple of years, no, they've trained in them for a while, and people are like, "Oh, look at this nice coloured training top," and then you don't see them for about 2 months before they get released into the shop. So. It's a joke, and again, the main one is the kit not being released yet. Again, that should be the one of the main priorities, other than getting a manager, because it's a new season kind of already by coming into pre-season. The new year started.
We'll probably see it on Saturday.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see. Surely we'll play in the new kit against Peterborough. Surely we won't be playing in last year's kit.
Surely you can't. No, yeah, surely you can't. You've got to. Well, unless you're playing your training kit. You're at the training ground.
No team plays in a training kit, even if it's Sunday League, Reedy. You put a football kit on.
It's Leicester City, isn't it? So.
Yes, you won't put it past them. Mark says, got to be better to have a successful manager who others want that no one wants. Richie, I don't think many fans will agree with you. Richie says, I'm gutted that Ruud left. He wasn't backed. I actually, although I do agree, he was out of his depth. I don't think he was backed particularly well. He certainly wasn't backed in the January window. Bazza says here, love to be a fly on the wall on whoever gets the job, thinking of what they will say to him or promise him, money, players, etc. in there. Andy King for the job, says Scott. Andy King's not even in the rumours in there. Ben says, yeah, that new training kit looked quite smart, to be honest. The only bleep test for Reedy would be a swearing test. That's about right.
True.
Nick Ball says, knowing us, we'll play in a PE kit, plimsolls and all. Nick, we'll probably be playing in somebody else's PE kit that's been left in the school office because you've forgot it. Armchair Jockey says they've probably been picking the sponsors transfer off the old kit in there. Paul says, hoping for Dyche. He'll get us up. It won't be spectacular in the Premier League. That's what we need. A couple of boring seasons in the Prem to get the finances sorted. Nick, I said it earlier, and a few people agreed with me in there. My biggest thing is I feel like we've had probably 2 or 3 years of. I mean, we've had 3 managers within 12 months. Let's put it that way. With Enzo, the end of Enzo, Steve Cooper, interim manager. You could argue there's 4, and then Ruud. But even back to before Enzo, and then the demise of there was Dean Smith and John Terry and obviously Brendan Rodgers. I think it's been very divisive the last 3-4 years of managerial stuff. And I already feel there's division between Sean Dyche and Danny Roll, like and people want to have an argument over it. And I just feel like, Nick, we got to find a manager and then back them, whoever that is, and get behind them and not start off. I mean, Reedy's off because Reedy's told me, and I'm not pointing this at Reedy, but Reedy's already told me if it's Sean Dyche, he's giving him, he said 8 games.
Well,
and that to me is just.
I said 10 to 15. I said I gave Cooper 8 games because that's when I said to get him out.
I know, but
Reedy,
you've got to give a manager a bit longer, mate.
No disrespect, Reader. I love you really, but anybody that backs Patson Daka to score 20 plus goals in the championship needs to give their head a wobble. I said in video, the only way he's getting 20 goals, Reedy, is on FIFA.
Well,
but
I
said in my video when Rude was sacked, I said, look, everybody can feel what they want to feel regarding King Power or Top or Rudkin, Whelan, whatnot. But I said, as soon as they've decided to do it, just get behind them. It's going to be tough enough as it is with a points deduction. You know, we're going to have to get behind the manager. We may not like it. It may be Pep ball. It may be Dyche ball. But if he's getting points on the board and we're getting that little bit closer, then do you know what I mean? It's
hey,
worth it.
I've said if Sean Dyche comes in and he doesn't do what I expect him to do, fair play to him. But I've got my assumptions on him, and that's why right now, before we've got a manager in, I want someone different other than him, because I just don't feel like he can do what everyone wants, and that's getting us up, in my opinion. So that's why I've said it. For instance, in the championship, it's a slog of amount of games we've got to play, and I think Phil said 25 games to give a manager, and if it doesn't work, then get rid. I feel like that's half the season is way too late for me. That's why I've said, if you don't get into a position you're probably expecting to be after 10 to 15 games, that's where I said you've got to get rid, because you don't want to be stuck mid-table by halfway through the season, and you just can't get as high as you probably need it to be. That's the only reason I said 10 to 15 games. I think 25 is way too late.
The championship can change so quickly. All you need to do, look at Cov last season. They were right near the bottom, and then all of a sudden Lampard come in. They clicked and they went on that stupid run where they got to the playoffs. It can change.
But you have that's the thing, you have to click.
It is, but also, mate, I don't think we're going to be in a financial position where we can get a manager in now and say, do you know what, 10, 15 games are in, right, you're doing crap, right, you're gone.
No,
because
we
I'm
can't
not do that.
This is why we've got
to get it right, and we've got to get behind them.
I'm not saying they would sack him. I'm just saying that after 10 to 15 games, if I'm not seeing what I feel like we should be, I will say it. But I'm not saying they should do it. I was surprised that Cooper got the sack so early on compared to when I said it. I thought they would keep him on a lot longer.
He was doing before he started. Cooper was, because you had people weren't using the noggins because they were thinking ex-Forest, and it used to be crap. They had that mentality.
Nick, that's exactly what I'm on about with the people who are very vocal. Danny Rowling seem very vocal about, I don't want to watch Sean Dyche football. And I think, and really, but we've chatted about this. You've already said.
Sorry.
But really, you've already said, like I keep saying, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but you've been honest about it and said, if it's Sean Dyche, I don't want him. You be honest about it.
It's more because the last couple of years, I'm not saying it's because of Enzo, but the last couple of years, I've been more opposed to liking and enjoying football that sort of way. And I'm not saying I'm not going to go to games, because if it's Sean Dyche, I'm not going to watch. If I wanted to watch football, I'll still be there. It's just I won't enjoy it as much, and that's where my personal opinions are saying I want Danny Roll, because I know I'll probably enjoy it more going to the games. Whereas, like I say, Enzo, for you, it probably wasn't that enjoyable to watch. So I'm more basing it on what I want to see at the club. And yes, it might, in the long run, it might not work because the Premier League, you can't do it. I'm just doing it for my own personal enjoyment. I'm paying to go to games. I want to watch what I like, and I know it's not about what I like. It's about what's best for the club and getting the points. I don't know.
I mean, Scott says here we seem to have a negative fan base since we won the league. Fans seem Mardy and won't give managers a chance. Cooper should have been kept. I'm not getting into Steve Cooper debate, but I do just feel like you've got to give a manager, in my books, enough time. And I might sound hypocritical because after maybe 15 or so games with Rude, I had lost my rag with him. But I feel honest that you could see he was just out of his league. He didn't have the managerial experience, which is very, very... I've never seen a manager as lost as Rude ever in 45, 50 years of watching Leicester City. I've never seen a manager, I think, that clueless. Maybe Gary Megson, maybe. But I genuinely think every other manager, even if you don't rate them or whatever, I think you've got to give them enough time. I mean, they generally say give them at least 2, if not 3 transfer windows to try and build a team and have a plan. But really, again, you're pulling your face there.
No, it's more because if you're
like,
staying in the Championship and you don't get up, I get the point of the 2-3 windows, but that's more of a progression style thing where, for instance, again, I'm going to go back to it. If we kept Enzo and it was a 5-year plan, maybe so. But right now, we're in a position where something doesn't work. We probably have to get rid because our aim is getting back to the Premier League now.
Yeah, it is.
And
But if
you can do more damage than in the short term than you could do in the long run. I totally agree with you, Phil. I think if you're going to get a manager in, it might be a case where it's 2-3 windows because he's going to have. Let's be fair, he's got a lot of deadwood to get rid of. You know, Wout Fast, for example. You know, we've got potentially Cody going to Rangers. You've got Christensen, Sumara, and all the other twaddle that we've been lumbered with over the years that we can't get. I mean, we've only just got Danny Ward off the books tomorrow, for God's sake. And how long's he been stealing the living for at this club? You're going to have to give them time just to build their squad.
Yeah.
I mean, the perfect way to look at it, right, is, again, I'm going back in the day a bit, but Martin O'Neill, when he took us over, right? No, you laugh, Reed.
No, I'm looking at the commenter. Would you dare argue with Dyche? No, I wouldn't.
No, which is what I think we could do with Reader.
Maybe so. Maybe
you
so.
can argue with Dyche. He takes no crap. He takes no crap. Does he?
Phil would have been at that game at Filbert Street where there was nearly a riot. I think it was Sheffield United.
Yeah, it was.
And Martin O'Neill came out and said, he went on Radio Leicester as well on the following Monday, and he said to the fans, give me time to build the team. And then look what he accomplished. You know, we brought in Muzzy, we brought in Claridge and all that lot. And then all of a sudden something just clicked with that team. And year on year, we smashed it. Wembley was our second home, for God's sake. How many League Cup finals did we go in the space of 4 years? Was it 3, 4? Yeah. All because he was allowed the time to build the squad. And that's what we've got to go back to.
Whoever it is, give them a little bit of time. Jono, you've clicked on right at the end of the show.
I know, I'm good at this.
You are good at this. But obviously we want to know your views on Sean Dyche, Danny Roll, Liam Rosenior, we haven't even talked about, Michael Carrick, Gary O'Neill. What you're going to pick one who you think it should be and tell us why.
I'm gonna give a reference. I'm gonna give a sort of ultimatum. Do you know? I don't know if you know gardening, but there's a very famous gardener called Alan Titchmarsh. Haven't heard of him?
Yeah. Oh yes, and he's right. Person.
So
Dimmock.
You can get Alan Titchmarsh to do your gardening, right? But if you make him garden in the Sahara Desert, he's not going to grow crap. I don't care how good he is at gardening; he's not going to grow crap. If the club doesn't give the foundations to the manager, I don't care if we bring in Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Ancelotti. They're not going to succeed. The club has to give them the foundations to succeed, i.e., transfers, being open with them. I think at the moment, personally, I think a manager's irrelevant. I think the state of the club is so bad. I think no matter who we bring in I think the manager's going to succeed anyway. You know what I mean? I think the club needs to fix their financials. I think the club need to sort out backroom staff. You know, it's not coincidental that what's this for Brendan Rodgers, Enzo Maresca have all fallen out with the board for no reason. It's because they promised transfers and you get any. So who do you know what I mean? So for me personally, I don't care who comes in as long as the club fixes the back room.
But Jono, I know what you're saying, but again, it looks genuinely like Jono that the back room, the boardroom is staying exactly as it was. Nothing's changing there, mate. You might want it, but nothing seems to be changing there. What has changed is Ruud van Nistelrooy mutual agreement has gone, and we need a new manager at 9 a.m.
But what has changed in the last 4 years? What's changed in the last 4 years? Nothing. Every manager's come in, they wanted transfers, didn't get any, got relegated. Or with Enzo Maresca, the only reason why we won that bloody season is because we had the best team in the championship. We could have had anyone in. We could have Andy King in charge if we would have won that season. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you have in. It doesn't matter who you bring in. Every manager's going to say the same thing.
Andy Meadow says, "What the hell is Jono drinking?" Alan Titchmarsh hasn't got enough experience. I don't know where he is in the bookings. He's probably there at 25-1.
Where's Roy Cropper?
Well, I was trying to create
Titchmarsh to sort the pitch out, says Patrick.
what I'm trying to say is that no matter who you bring in, if the foundations of the club isn't set, every manager you're going to bring in is going to fail.
You've started something now, John.
I'm going to start something. I have.
Jono says it's Titchmarsh.
I'd rather him than Deitch.
Oh, there you go. Really couldn't resist, could you?
Yeah!
See that? But there's Jono. This is where Reedy is. He wouldn't back Sean Dyche if he comes in, if it is him. Listen, most fans seem to be fancying Danny Roll, Jono.
I mean, out of the two, I prefer Sean Dyche because he takes no BS, doesn't he? Like he went to Everton and he went to Everton and he completely fixed the club on the back. Yes, he got sacked in the end, but he stabilised the club. And look what they are now. They're in Premier League football with a brand new stadium. They're stabilised as a Premier League club again. Before he came in, they were bound to be relegated. So,
I mean, here's a question for everybody watching this, and I'll pose it to Nick. So, Nick, does Leicester City as a club need somebody who doesn't take any bullshit and is strong enough to go to the board and say, this is not how you run a club. I've been around enough clubs at the highest level doing things. This is where the club is going wrong. So, Mr. Rudkin, Mrs. Wheeler, whoever he's talking to, this is what you're going to have to do. Do you think we've had managers who just can't have that conversation with the board?
I do think we need that type of manager, but also I think we've had managers in the past where they've tried to have that conversation, but they've not really backed themselves in to try and win the argument. It's almost as if Enzo's gone, all right then, Ruud, all right then, Kuba, all right then, I'll get what I get, and that's about it. Whereas if you think like a Dyche, for example, or even a Pearson, I think they would probably say what needs to be said. So, but whether the board listen, that's a different show altogether.
That's the thing. Do the board or Top or Rudkin, like I say, do they want that sort of manager in?
Well, that's what Michael's saying.
Do they want a yes man?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Do they want that, or do they want to be in control?
Of course, they want that type of. They want. That's why Rudkin's held on to his job for God knows how many years and stuff. Because he's a yes man to Top. That's what they want.
That's why they want a manager who doesn't have anything to say. They just get on with their job, and when they ask for something, they have to ask it. They say no. They say no. They're not going to be like, well, I need it, and you're going to give me it. Otherwise, because they'll probably that's probably one reason why they won't want Dyche, because he's gonna insist on something, and they probably won't like it.
Right, listen, we've almost finished. I want everybody in the comments, if you can, just to pick a name you think it's going to be. Now, not who you want it to be. The question I want people to answer is, who do you think the club are going to appoint, hopefully this week, hopefully tomorrow? So I'm going to go first to Nick on that, but I want you to put it in the comments, and I'll put as many up on screen. Who do you think they are going to appoint? Okay, so Nick.
I'll give you both. I want Dyche, but I reckon they'll do Roll.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Jono?
I want Dyche, and I think we'll get Dyche because he's free and he doesn't cost anything to get, because the club doesn't want to be to buy anyone out of their contract. I think we'll get Dyche because he's free.
Yeah, I mean, Jono, just answer that one on there, not that question, but The club, if we're in financial mess, it seems crazy to be buying managers.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's why I went for Rude in the first place, because really, just get that down. We went for Rude purely because he was out of
You
of
asked what I
contract.
want, and that's what we're gonna get.
We'll come back to
We
you.
went for Rude because I was out of contract. I'm not going to lie. I wanted Rude in when he was first appointed, because he demonstrated to me that he could perform. But that was and in the first 2 games he was in charge, he did well. But I think this club is going down the cheap and cheerful route, not what the club needs route. So I think that is Sean Dyche.
So you think Sean Dyche, Reedy?
I think they're probably gonna go Sean Dyche, but this is who we probably.
Well, do you think they are going to go Sean Dyche?
Depending on how long it takes, no, because again, he's still in a job right now, and like I think you said that he's not walked into the job today, has he? So he could be.
Well, that's
could be
what I've
leaving
heard. He didn't
could be
turn up
leaving
at
any
training.
day. So depending on how long this guy takes to leave Sheffield Wednesday, I don't know. Again, I think right now it's a pick of the bunch. It's like we haven't got any manager who's first priority or anything. So right now, that's who I want. But I honestly don't have a clue who they're going to get, because right now there's no idea.
What about you,
it's...
Phil?
Hey, I ask the questions, don't
No,
listen.
but
you tell us, Phil.
I will tell you, but I think Sean Dyche could do a job. And I think Danny Roll again falls to me that he possibly could do a job. I don't know much about him, and he hasn't proven for me at Sheffield Wednesday he can do anything much apart from a mid-table team. But I think Danny Roll could probably do a good job as well, maybe. But that's why what pisses me off the most is when people are saying I won't back Sean Dyche or I won't back Danny Roll. And there seems people on both sides. It's quite vocal on both ways of that.
Comes in, it's the bloody club.
Yeah,
together.
I'll back anybody, but that's why I kind of go, let's put Gary O'Neill in, because he seems like I think he's available, so he's not going to cost us anything. He's got decent experience. I think Gary O'Neill would do a decent job, but I'm happy enough. Well, listen, I'm not ecstatic about any of them, and I think if it is Sean Dyche, I'm like, why didn't you put Sean Dyche in February when the poop was hitting the fan? That's when we needed Sean Dyche. Now I'm kind of like, well, Danny Roll, I'm not that wowed by him. Michael Carrick, again, another flop at Middlesbrough, not wowed by him. Liam Rosenior, he's done okay at Hull, but nothing special. Gary O'Neill's available and done okay before, so I'd probably go Gary O'Neill, but whoever it is, I hope that's answered it for you, Nick. It's a bit what I call Hobson's choice. I've got all their names down here and all their backgrounds, and I look at them all, and you go, well, it's just he's been a bit there and a bit there and done nothing much. So that's where we're at.
My dream would be Lee Carsley. My dream manager would be Lee Carsley. Honestly, he's look at him in the 19s of England. He's a brand new manager. He's doing wonders in the 19s. He's imaginative. He's using youngsters. Which is what we've got. You know, we've got Mongo. We've got all these brilliant youngsters, and he's brilliant with youngsters. Why can't we have a manager to build up for the future?
International football's totally different, though, John. Look at Southgate, for example. Did okay with England, but was rubbish as Middlesbrough manager all those years ago.
He's a proven manager, international. Yes, under 19s, but international, and he's exciting and different. You know, you can get Sean Dyche and stuff like that, but he just looks different. You know,
I wouldn't say he's exciting. I know that for sure. I wouldn't say that.
That's my own personal opinion. It's not like we should get him. It's my own opinion. He works well with youngsters. That's what our trajectory is. That's what my view is.
Just signed a new contract, apparently. Lee Carsley has. John.
Yeah, he has. He has signed a new contract. I'm not saying we're going to get him. That's my dream manager. We're not going to get him, but realistically we're going to get Dyche or the Wednesday manager. One of those two.
Yeah, listen, here's just a final thing for us to talk about, because I think it's a really, really, really good comment, and well done to Terry for saying it. I actually 100% agree with Terry. I don't care as long as they help me fall in love with the club again. And I think Terry sums up exactly how I feel, because I bleat on about it. I've watched Leicester since 1976. There's been very few times in my life where I've ever felt like I don't want to go and watch the football. Of course I go, and of course I buy the season ticket, even though we're about to get relegated when they make us buy it. Of course I buy a plastic card for 25 quid because they make you do it, and I'll buy the new shirt probably. But I'm not saying I'm on the cusp of not being asked to go anymore, because I'm not. I'll still go. We all know it. But I am with Terry, where I just the whole thing. And I don't know which one of you just wants to pick up on that, but the whole thing of Leicester City, they need to sort this out. Everything from how they speak with fans. We are fans, we're not customers, and how they deal with everything. It needs to get better, because there are people being well and truly sick of this. Does anybody want to pick up on Terry's comment?
I will. I mean, at the moment, my baby loves Fleetwood Mac going to sleep. And Jamie's farewell video they released of his farewell, they did Fleetwood Mac, Go Your Own Way. She loves listening to that, going to sleep. And I just cry because all I see is the memories of us, beat Manchester, him scoring against Manchester United, his 11 heaven goal. And I'm thinking that's the club I want back. I want that love and joy from supporting that club. And I feel sad because we've achieved so much, and I love the club so much. But this is what I mean about the manager. They've let us down so much, and they just need to get their act together and get the clubs back involved.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, and I think that's part of the bigger fear is that, again, it already feels like we're just going through more of the mess because managers let go on Friday. No one's there for training today. Do we all think we'll have a manager by Saturday?
No.
All three of you think no manager by Saturday?
We don't get stuff sorted early. We get stuff sorted late. It's traditional Leicester. Our kit won't be released until the day before the bloody season starts. I guarantee it.
But surely we're playing it on Saturday, Jono.
No, it'll be our old kit.
What are we playing in?
Our old kit.
You think we're playing the old kit in a pre-season?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think that will happen. They've obviously got the new training tops on. I know it's only training tops, but they're not going to go. Like I say, if they were going to do the old kit, they would go in their old training kit, wouldn't they? So I think they have got stuff ready. It's just a waiting game, and I think they'll have the new kit on Saturday. It's just I don't think they'll have any manager, unfortunately.
Maybe a new kit, maybe a new manager. Reedy, thanks for coming on tonight. Nick, thank you.
Cheers,
and
Phil.
Jono, get on here on time next time. This is what happens, Jono, when you have a baby. Everything plans goes out.
I thought, yes, I planned it. Then she wouldn't. She won't sleep for 12 hours. Let's just not sleep. As a 10-week-old baby.
Yeah, that's the life. Anyway, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Reedy. Thanks, Jono. We'll see them all very, very soon. Thank you to them. Last few comments to get in here. Andy says you're just a club. Sorry, at any club, you're just a number. It never used to feel like that, I don't think, Andy, but it does feel like it at the moment in there. Paul says one team can play in skins. Yeah, I quite like that, actually. In fact, I wouldn't like it. It'd be too hot and sweaty. Wait, when you were at school and you were put into skins, nobody enjoyed that, did they? Wayne says sorting stuff out late is why we're always in a mess in there. Scott says we're playing the blue and the green. We can't. Our sponsor's gone off BC Games. Yeah, I don't think you can have BC Games in the Championship, but I'm not 100% on that. When's the points ruling, says Jordan? It could be any time. It literally could be next week. It could be in 3 months. It could be 10 games into the new season. We've just got to get on with it. So, listen, Aggie says, we appointed Ranieri on the 13th of July. What's the rush? You can have the final comment there. We did. We appointed Enzo on, I think, on the 15th of June, though, Aggie. There's a back and there's a forth to you. So we're a month later. Well, we're certainly 2 weeks later than when we appointed Enzo last time we came down. But I get it with Ranieri. Yeah, okay. What's the rush in there? Listen, thanks, everybody, for watching. Don't forget you can join Reedy on the Aftermath on Sunday. And the minute anything happens this week, we'll be going live and we'll be building up to well, a bit of a pre-season friendly against Peterborough on Saturday. So we'll see what that all goes. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow morning a new manager will walk into Seagrave and take things by the horns. And I just hope whoever it is, let's give them a bit of a chance. Let's not do what we did to Steve Cooper. Even if you think he was the wrong guy, I just think that has proven now that was well, maybe he would have stayed up if we kept him. Maybe we wouldn't, probably not. Let's give managers a bit longer than 10 games, eh? Anyway, I'll see you later.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.